Right, the oil pressure gauge that I ordered is now arrived because we wanted to put an oil pressure gauge on the Norton. We got it from Classic Bike Parts in Cheshire, and it's an oil pressure gauge that fits clamps on the handlebars. Because for the Mark III with the instrument binnacle, it's difficult to have an extra bracket, so I thought that would probably be the best solution. I'm not sure. It seems okay. It's all chrome and that, but the actual part of the bracket is just mild steel, and the nuts are mild steel, so they're going to rust, but they could be replaced with stainless steel, I guess. Then we've got two banjo fittings, one for the cylinder head and one to go and one on the back of the actual gauge itself, and these have got an olive in it, and that olive connects to the hydraulic hose we've been given, and then there's an extended banjo bolt to go on the head, because obviously there'll be the existing connector oil feed, and then there'll be this additional connector to go to the gauge, so you need a longer banjo, and they've even put a little Allen key in, which I think is used for clamping it onto the handlebars. So all well and good. I've looked on the website. There's no instructions with it, but it does say look on the Venhill website for instructions on basically how to fit this hydraulic pipe to the connectors, and there is some instruction. It's not specifically for this, but I found it eventually on their website, and basically I think we need to strip down the outer cable, open it, and then these olives will fit on the inner cable. You know, there's a so we've got, can we see that? So we've got this outer plastic coating, then there's a sort of steel braid underneath that, and then there's this white, the sort of white pipe, and it's that white pipe we're going to cut the black back, open up the braiding, and then the olives, from what I can see, will fit on that white pipe, and we should be okay. I don't think it matters that the braiding goes over the olive, because I think it clamps onto the it seals on the inner pipe, not the outer pipe. Yeah, so I think we'll be okay. Okay, I'm just connecting these now. Now, what I have had to do in order to get the olives on that will seal in the union, I have had to cut the outer casing off and the braiding, because I simply can't get the braiding through the olive if it's peeled back. So that's been difficult, because of course you're trying to cut the braiding off without cutting into the inner pipe, which is what the olive sits on. But we managed that. I've already connected the top one, and so we'll connect up, and I'll see if I can get this connector on, which I think it will go on, but just be aware, you know, you do have to cut this back in. It is a bit of a faff, to say the least. Right, I just about managed to get the this sort of braided pipe into this union. It was a struggle. For some reason it went in okay at the other end, but at this end I didn't want to know, but it's just about in. We've got the extended banjo there, so it takes both the sort of the oil inlet and the oil pressure gauge unions, and then I've mounted the oil pressure gauge there on the. I think that's pretty okay there, all things considered. Yeah, it's on. It mounts. It's got a little mounting to go on the handlebars. The only thing, and I've replaced these two bolts with stainless steel ones. This plate here is obviously just sort of nickel plated, so that'll probably rust in a while. But you know, it could be chromed or whatever. But yeah, you know, as installations go, I'm quite happy with that. I mean, when you're sitting on the bike, you'll be able to see all the all the instruments, etc. But you know, it's handlebar mounted, so you can move it anywhere. And to be honest, a new owner, they could just take it out of here, and like I've done, they could put it in the headlamp if they want, if they annoyed with it there. But you know, it's there, and I'm happy. I've turned the engine over a few times, and it doesn't leak, and so that's the main thing. So yeah, it's all in, and you know, for what it is, I'm happy with it. But it's always difficult adding that extra gauge and trying to get it to look nice. There is a company that sells them that has like an alloy bracket that goes basically where this instrument pinnacle is, but of course, this being a Mark III, I can't do that. Okay, here we go. It's that time. Now I've connected the oil pressure gauge. I've been waiting to do that. I'm going to chug the engine over because we've got new oil in the oil tank. I'm going to chug the engine over and see if we can build up oil pressure on the engine and make sure that it's returning back to the tank. So it's a big moment. And after that, we're going to check the compressions. Obviously, I'm a bit worried about the compressions because the bike's been standing for 10 years. You know, the bore's going to be rusted, whatever. Don't know. So I'll be very interested to see what the compression readings are on the cylinders. Right, but first of all, let's just chug it over. So luckily, we've got this mega electric start fitted. I still haven't put the. I've got to connect the instrument lights up yet. Make sure it's on off, so I'm not sparking anything. I've still got the covers off, the rocker covers, because on a Commando it doesn't spray everywhere, and it doesn't, the way the angle of the engine, it means it doesn't even run out when the covers are off, when the engine's running. Okay, I'm going to spin it over a few times, see if we can get oil pressure, see if we can get oil coming back to the tank. Here we go. I tell you what, that starter motor doesn't half crank it over. Okay, so what I've done is I've loosened the oil union here, the one that goes to the rockers, and just checked that there was oil coming out, because that's the earliest sort of point, and there is oil coming out, so I know that oil is being pumped around, so that's great. So hopefully it will get up to the head soon, and hopefully we'll get oil pressure showing on the oil pressure gauge. Yeah, oil pressure going up on the gauge, up to 30 already, right. Up to 50, 60. Oh God, we got 60 pounds pressure just on the starter. Yeah, that's 80 psi on the starter. Nearly 90. 85 anyway. Wow. Yeah, oil returning to the tank. Fabulous. 85 psi on the starter. This is amazing, and oil returning to the tank. I'm really, really pleased. Right, I just want to show you that pressure. I've just the engine's just gone off, so the pressure is still slightly there. Up she goes. I'm going to leave it there. It's up to 60. I know that if I keep pressing this, it'll go up to 85 just on the starter. Oh, okay, I'll leave it. It's not going to do any harm, apart from taking a bit from the battery. Well, that's it. It's at 80 now. I know it will hit 85, I think. Right, it's decided to sit on 80 now. Well, that's amazing on the starter. Wow. That's amazing on the starter, 80 psi. So that's fantastic. And I'm really pleased I've got that oil pressure gauge, because yeah, you can see straight away you've got pressure. You know straight away everything's good. Right, I've connected up the compression tester to the other side of the engine. Just before I test it, just mention about doing a compression test. So what you should do is, take the plugs out so you can turn the engine over, and then you should really have a warm engine. Ours is cold because you always get a slightly higher pressure or a proper pressure reading, and you should also always have wide open throttle, WOT. So hold the throttle fully open, because that sucks air in, which is, again, it creates more compression. So that'll give you the full compression reading. If you think you get a low compression reading, then what you do is you take this out, pour a bit of oil down, and try it again. And if the compression reading increases significantly, that's a sign that the rings are worn, because that extra bit of oil acts as a little sealant around the rings. If you've got low compression, you add oil and it doesn't increase the reading, then it's possibly you've got a burnt valve or a valve that's not seating properly. Right, okay, but let's try ours. Can I reach? I can't really reach with this on, but I'll give it a go. We've got to turn the ignition on. I need to do wide open throttle, which is why it's difficult for me to reach, because I've got to hold the throttle open. Okay, here we go. Oops. Wow, that looks fantastic again. Yeah, look at that. 160 again. Oh, that's amazing. Again, on a cold engine. Yeah, 160. That's fabulous. So they're both virtually identical, which is just what you want. And they're both really, really high. That's a very high compression reading for a cold engine. So, wow. Yeah, I was worried that maybe there'd be a problem with the cylinders, but no, far from it. They're fantastic. So I'm really, really pleased with that. And doesn't that starter spin it over something like wow? Okay, and of course high power battery, and of course the extra thick leads. Yeah, it's amazing how that's warm. That's warm. That lead is warm. Yeah, they're warm, the leads. Amazing, especially this one. Especially this first one. It's just spinning it over on the engine for that amount of time, the amount of current going through these cables. They're warm, quite warm. And you imagine what they'd be like if we had the original cables on that are only half as thick as those. Right, okay, no, happy with that, so I'll take the compression tester off. Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, very pleased.